Welcome to the Authentically Elisa podcast, Reshaping Business with Integrity, the podcast where we explore how to run your business authentically and with integrity. I'm your host, Elisa Boogaerts, a business coach and launch manager, helping coaches launch their programs and events that align with their business values. Together, we'll uncover the secrets to building a successful business without sacrificing morals, ethics, authenticity, or heart. Let's dive in. All right, let's dive into today's episode. Today, we're going to be talking about how to write a book that builds your thought leadership brand. And today, I have an amazing guest with me, Denise Renee. She is known as Your Business Book Bestie. Denise Renee is a book writing coach, manuscript editor, and author. Her extensive writing experience dates back to 1999. Mom to a teenage boy, Denise's hobbies include doing her own salon-quality nail extensions, adult coloring, and making YouTube videos for both business and fun. Welcome, Denise Renee. So good to see you here.
Thank you so much, Elisa. I'm excited to be here.
Yeah. So tell me, how you got into this field of work and just why you're so passionate about it.
Well, I like to joke that I have been writing ever since I could hold a crayon. But honestly, really, like the first time I really wrote something, like a short story, was I was around 8 or 9 years old, and I think it's absolutely hilarious because my mom was just all on me to get me to read, and I was struggling. I was struggling. But once I caught on, I was gone. I think I entered first grade when I was 5, and I had a third grade reading level. And
Wow.
yeah, and I mean, according to my son, I'm born in the Jurassic era. But anyhow, I grew up in the late 70s, early 80s, and I went to a Catholic school in the Bronx, and I just remember being paraded in front of other classes. Um, like basically it was like shaming the other classes because the principal was like, this young girl, she's in first grade and she has a third grade reading level and she's reading better than all of y'all. And I was like in the fifth grade class, and just all these eyeballs are just glaring at me. But basically, once I started reading, once I got it, that was it. It was off to the races. And I was writing short stories, and then in high school I was writing poetry, and then when I got to college, I started writing music, and I've just been writing. It's just, part of who I am at this point.
Awesome. And then how did you get into coaching people to write their books, like being a book
So,
writing coach?
mhm. So I started, well, okay, this is a long story, but we'll try to keep it brief. I started a freelance writing business, I think back in like 2014-ish, something like that. And then around 2017, I was working at a job. I was working in a marketing department, and it was a toxic environment for me. And I just had a decision to make. I was like, well, I could either go balls to the wall and, make my business work, or I can, because I really wanted to work for myself, or I could put the energy into trying to get another job. So I decided at that time I was just going to bet on myself. And so through that process, oh boy, it was a process. um, but through that process, I started just general copywriting, helping business owners. And then I was noticing a lot of people were writing books, and I'm supporting the books, but I'm looking at the cover and I'm reading the inside, and I'm like, well, did you get an editor for this? Because this sounds terrible. I mean, it wasn't that it was terrible, but yeah, it lacked editing. So I was like, well, nobody knows how much extensive, history that you have in writing and editing. So I started promoting myself as an editor and as a ghostwriter. And then I paused my business for about 5 years and reshaped it to helping people with their writing. So still editing, but coaching rather than doing the writing for them. So that is a very condensed version.
Nice. And so, what does running your business with authenticity mean to you?
Well, the only thing I know how to do is just be honest and open, and tell people the truth at an appropriate level. So I can be honest and I can be open, but at different levels, depending on where we are, what the context is. So I think there's always room for being truthful and being open and honest, but also making it appropriate for the context that you're in. So that is what being authentic means to me in business, and even when in my content. And I recently started a new podcast, and it's very different from my like teaching videos or where I'm giving my commentary on something. It's more open, it's more authentic, it's more, hey, this is where I am, and I'm not trying to be the guru here. I'm just saying, hey, this is what's going on. This is how I'm doing things. I invite you into the conversation, as opposed to, well, I'm just, telling you what to do because I've been in this game for 30 plus years. Like, yeah, who cares, right? Let's have a conversation with people and see where we can help, be helpful, and learn. Because as long as you're alive, there's still room to learn something. And that's just kind of the way I live. So for me, it just bleeds into, everything that I do.
Right. Yeah, that's awesome. Great way to live.
And for me, it's the only way to live. And that way, if I'm living that way in every area of my life, then I'm not pretending to be someone I'm not. I'm not. And I don't remember, the face that I showed to this person or the lie that I told of it. Like, I don't have the patience for that.
Yeah. It can be it can sort of add up, can't it? Sometimes I wonder about that. People who, yeah, are so disingenuous. How do they
I
remember
don't
it all? I
know.
don't think they can keep it straight.
I don't know. So to me, I'm like,
Yeah.
the easiest thing is just to be me everywhere I go.
Yeah, for sure. What does sorry, how do you think that we can reshape business to be more in integrity?
That is a really interesting question. And I will say that for me, I have come to an understanding of myself that I'm like, I'm not a business owner, right? I do not love the game of business. I just have a business structure, right? Because I'm really a creative. And I love helping people create the things that I create, which are books. So I have a business structure, right, to collect the money and to protect the intellectual IP. But it's not necessarily like, oh, I'm trying to be this, seven figure, eight figure, nine figure business owner, entrepreneur, Forbes, 50 under 50 or 50 over 50 or whatever. Like that is just not my aspiration. So for me, it starts with understanding who I am and not trying to pretend to be that. And then, like I said earlier, just taking a more, hey, well, let's collaborate over here. This is what I'm doing. This is what I know works or has worked, and this is how I've helped people. I can help you too. Hey, what do you have to say and share and contribute to this conversation? Okay, let's go back and forth and let's exchange. So for me, it's just for me, it's just really understanding who I am, where I am in this conversation, and not trying to pretend to be something that I'm not. Because I am not your business girl, but I am your creative girl for sure.
Okay, cool. Yeah, interesting answer. I love that. Yeah, it's just be you.
Mm-hmm.
Um, yeah. All right, cool. Thank you. So yeah, let's dive into how to write a book that builds your thought leadership brand. So what do you think holds people back from writing a book?
Definitely the number one thing that holds people back is fear. And even in saying that, it's not even something that I'm saying from a standpoint of, you know, I'm this person who's been writing since I was 8 years old, which I have been, but I also know how fearful it is to step into that identity of being an author and putting your book out there and being worried about wow, will people receive this? If I don't sell, if I'm not the, New York Times bestseller or Amazon bestseller, are people going to look at me as less than, or like I don't know what I'm talking about? Or, because those are the things that were on my mind. And then when I do work with clients, or when they're coming to me and they're just, seeing if they want to work with me or not, and they're telling me, hey, I want to write this book, but I don't feel like I'm a writer. I want to write this book, but I don't feel like I've had enough experience in this area. I want to write a book, but I think I'm too old or too young to write the book. I want to write a book. And basically the underlying thing over all of behind all of those reasonings is a fear, right? It's a fear of really putting yourself out there. There's also still a when you're an author, it's like there's an air of authority that comes along with that. And so it could be intimidating to be like, oh, okay, I'm an author. Oh, okay, I know what I'm talking about. Oh, okay, and people are going to see me this way or da da da. So it's really, it's really getting over the fear and getting over that hurdle and making sure that you're just taking steps to, if this is something that you really want to do, it really can be done, and just making sure you get the right help and the right support to bring that book to life and make it the best quality that you can possibly make it.
Yeah. And how do you like when they come up to you and have all these sort of like reasons or all these buts, how do you sort of help them get over that fear?
I think the best way to get over fear or get through fear of any type, but especially writing a book, is just to take action. And sometimes it may not be to, try to bite off more than you can chew. It may be, excuse me, it may be just as simple as taking 10 to 15 minutes a day to write. Like that's a very small action, and most people can commit to writing for 15 minutes a day. And sometimes people look at that and they're like, well, how much writing can I get done in 15 minutes? No, it's not going to be a whole lot, but it's a whole lot more than getting nothing done, right? And it's a whole lot better to have 30 days of writing for 15 minutes a day, a little bit at a time. Maybe you've gotten one or two paragraphs done, but you've made progress and you've developed a momentum, which is way better than trying to think, okay, on Saturday I'm going to clear my schedule and I'm going to write all day from sun up to sundown. That's never going to happen. It's just so unrealistic for so many people, especially if you have family, you have friends, and phones ringing and things like that, and people pulling on you, and different responsibilities. No one gives you like 1 hour of peace, much less a whole 8, 10, 12 hour day. So that is the piece of advice I give people the most. It's just like, get started writing. Even if you're not ready to get started working with me, just start writing. And I have so much content on my YouTube channel where it gives you advice on how to get started, or where to go. And at least let's get something down on the paper. Let's keep it on the paper. Let's gather enough pages, right? So that we have something to look at. And then we can say, okay, maybe now let's look at getting one round of editing. Let's get feedback and take the process one step at a time. So the best thing I can tell people is to just start small, to just get into a habit of writing 15 minutes a day and let that take you where it takes you.
Yeah, I love that. And, I think that as people start to do that, if they think, oh, I'm not a writer or I'm too old or whatever, all the like sort of excuses, reasons, or, sort of the mindset that they're in, I think that if they do start writing 15 minutes a day and at the end of it, after a while, they'll actually have a book written, and then they can actually
Yeah.
see it and be like, oh, I am an author. I am a writer, and that'll really
Hello.
give them that confidence to
Yep.
be like, oh, okay, well, what's the next step? Now I got to put it out in the world. Like, ooh, that's the
That's
next
right.
hurdle. But at least they'll have that confidence of knowing that they've done
That is my sneaky little way of getting
it.
people started. Just like, hey, 15 minutes a day. And 9 times out of 10, when you commit to 15 minutes, it does something interesting in the brain, because it's like, okay, I made this commitment and I met my commitment. And 9 times out of 10, you could probably write more than 15 minutes. You can make extra time, or you have extra time. But then in those days when you really don't have any more time, but you've done your 15 minutes, it's like a little mental check. Like, I did that. And it builds your confidence.
Mm-hmm.
Just builds your
Yeah,
confidence. And that's
absolutely.
what you need to combat the fear. Action, confidence, continuity. That there's another C word I'm looking for. Not continuity. Oh Lord, brain fart. Consistency. There we go. Ding, 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 ding,
Consistency. Yeah,
ding.
there you go.
Right? Building that consistency will help to build that confidence. I'm not saying that the fears will disappear because, it's like you overcome some fears and then new ones pop up.
Mm-hmm.
But as
Totally.
long as you continue to move forward and move through it, you can get it done. You can totally get it done.
That it's so doable. So as people are doing this, they're writing their 15 minutes a day. What's the hardest part about writing a book?
Hardest part about writing a book, I think for people who don't take the time to really structure the book from the beginning by way of understanding what their goals are, understanding who their audience is, and really out taking the time to outline their content. I think people who just sit down to like, oh, I'm just gonna start writing, if you don't give yourself a structure and a process, I think it can be very difficult to know where to begin, where to end, and you can put too many things in a book, it can be overbloated and it may not wind up being useful. So I'm always recommending people to follow a system, follow a writing system, and follow a set path, especially when it comes to writing a thought leadership book. Because we're writing nonfiction, we're not writing a novel, which I do write fiction, but that's a whole other story. Um,
Yeah.
but business people, because in the author community there's a whole like divide between the people who are the pantsers who just sit down and write as it comes, or the people who are the plotters, the people who outline their plot and write to that outline. I think that business book writers, nonfiction business book writers, should be outlining their books so that they know the structure, they know what's supposed to be contained in this book. Every book should contain one main idea. And it's okay if it's a short book because nowadays people's attention spans are short anyway. So if you can really get into the meat of a topic really quickly, get them in, get them a win, and get out, bam, right? It doesn't have to, you do not have to write War and Peace, right? It doesn't have to be 900 pages. You can be very effective with a 50 to 70 page book. So
Right.
I always recommend people that they follow a system. If you don't have a writing system, you don't know how to get started, I always recommend my 4 steps to start writing your book. Step one is start with the end in mind. So like I said, figuring out what are your goals for your book, who is your audience, and what is it that that audience wants, because you don't want to spend time writing a book that you want to write as opposed to a book that your audience wants to read,
Mm.
because you'll have a hard time selling that book. um, Move on and you pick your what kind of style you're writing, figure out what the framework is for that book. You organize your ideas in an outline, and then you kind of get going. Right now that you have like some structure, you know what you're doing, you know what you're talking about, then you can dot, 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 dot. Now you can write for 15 minutes a day because you can pick which part of the outline that you're working on today.
Yeah,
So
that's
it all works
awesome.
together. Yeah, it all works together.
um, and so well, yeah. So how do you think that Gen X and, sort of older millennial professionals use book writing to prepare for their next career pivot or for retirement?
At this point in time, creating your own platform, it's not even a nice to have. It's mandatory for I would say for any generation in the workforce, but specifically for other professionals who are like myself. I'm a Gen Xer, and um, the older I get in the workforce, it's more challenging to find companies who really value what you have and who are not afraid of hiring you without the whole, oh, they're older and so they're going to want more money. you don't know like if a job is advertising, one salary range, and maybe someone is willing to take a lower pay cut because there are other benefits that come with this job, or there are other things, or you don't know if they have a partner at home who's doing other things. You don't know someone's situation. So I really hate when employers kind of like make these assumptions and count out whole entire groups of people because of ageism.
Mm-hmm.
Of course, we are where we are in the United States as well. If you're paying attention to any kind of job statistics, the one of the biggest news items in this year has been that since January, over 300,000 plus Black women have been ejected from the workforce. That definitely affects me, right? So it's like, okay, I may or may not be able to continue, working with corporations the way I have been. So I have to continue building my own platform, which is something I've been doing as I've been an employee. So like I said, I took time off from building my business. So, I had to pay the bills, right? So I
Yeah.
went back into the workforce. So just to fill in that little gap of 5 years there. So, I've been back in the workforce, and I've been building my own platform and rebuilding my brand here at the same time. But you don't always know how long it's going to take you to get to where you want to be financially. So for someone like me, and for a lot of Gen X professionals and older millennials, where they may want to go off and do some things, and they want to go into consulting, and especially the older you get, it is it's very smart to position yourself as a consultant, because companies seem to be a little bit more uh, prepared to hire older people as a consultant, right? Because these projects have a beginning, middle, and an end.
Mm-hmm.
And they don't have to pay for your health insurance, or any of those ongoing costs that make employees costly. So they have no problems having you come in and do a training, having you come in and do this, or consult for 6 months or something like that. So writing a book is such an excellent thought leadership tool to use, so that now you can take what you've been doing these 10, 15, 20 years, however long you've been in the industry that you've been in. You can take those learnings and position them in a book. Now that you have a book, now you're starting to get speaking events at different conferences and things like that, and getting in front of decision makers. And now you have the opportunity to have like inbound conversations with hiring managers, with recruiters. Sometimes people get job offers because of their books. So you just position yourself in a way to let the money come and let the opportunities come to you how they come to you, and give yourself more options as you continue to age. But it doesn't mean that you're like falling apart. We still have so much value to give, but sometimes people don't always value that, but they may value it in other ways. So they may not value you as an employee, but they may value you as a consultant. So write that book, write those books, plural, and start to position yourself. Some people haven't even started, with a LinkedIn presence. They're on LinkedIn, but they're not like making content, or putting themselves out there, or joining groups and things like that. Do all of the things. Do all of the things. So I could talk about this for a long time. So gosh.
No, but I really love that perspective because yeah, you're right. Like that gender or that sort of age group that you were talking about, it is becoming more difficult for them. And I've even seen it with some of my friends who, trying to, like, there's been layoffs and then trying to get back into
Mm-hmm.
it. It's like
Mm-hmm.
it is
It's
getting
hard.
difficult. Yeah, it's really hard. And so, how, yeah, what can you do? And you're right about the consulting and how the book can give you real leverage and give you that
Mm-hmm.
reputation of this thought leader, which you are
Mm-hmm.
because you have so much experience. So you can, yeah, I
Yes.
really love that. That's such a good lever.
Mm-hmm.
It's amazing.
Ding, 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 ding. I'm on a mission to, like, win the world over to my perspective.
Well, this has been awesome. I've like taken a bunch of notes here, but yeah, we sort of first talked about how really it's fear that can hold people back, and that And kind of what you were saying, it sort of resonated with me that like people are worried about what other people might think of them or what might happen. Most of
Mhm.
them read it, all these thoughts can come in. And a way to tackle that is to start taking action. And it could be
Mhm.
something as, as forming a habit of writing 15 minutes a day as an example
Mhm.
and really making a commitment to write. And then, but maybe even before you start doing that, it'd be good to have a structure for your book or outline the content in some way. So then you know what you're going to be focusing on when you do that 15 minutes and to
Mhm.
follow some type of writing system. And of course, if you don't know what a writing system could be, there are professionals and people that can help you, like Denise Renee, that can kind of give you that system and really
I
thinking,
even give it
starting.
away for free.
There you go. Yeah. Yeah. You can start with the end in mind and really think about what's your one main idea for that book, because you don't have
Mhm.
to write, tons of different things. And to be honest, sometimes there's some books that I read them and they tell you all this stuff. And then I'm like, oh, like this is learning too much, or I'm not going to remember it if I were to just sort of read it
Mhm.
through. So I really like that idea of this one main idea. And then,
Mhm.
yeah, build your own platform. And a book is a great way to do that. And it's a really great thought leadership tool. So, Denise Renee, where can our listeners find you online?
You can find me online at my website, writingwithdeniserenee.com. You can find me on YouTube, youtube.com/ at Denise Renee, or just, I'm sorry, at Writing with Denise Renee. If you type at Writing with Denise Renee in the YouTube search bar, you will find my Chanel. You can also find me on LinkedIn at linkedin.com/in/ Writing with Denise Renee, and on my new Substack, writingwithdeniserenee.substack.com. So those are the places where I am online. And like I said, I have so much content on my YouTube channel. It's a great resource for people. And if you were like, those 4 steps, I actually give that as I have a free infographic that goes through the 4 steps, the things that I mentioned here. So if you didn't quite take as good notes as Elisa did, head over to writingwithdeniserenee.com /4 steps. That's the number 4 in steps. And there is a free version that you can download there, and it just gives you a quick little infographic of the 4 steps. But if you want to dig deeper and really have like a workbook, checklist, and an audio lesson to kind of walk you through and ask you those pivotal questions that can help you get going, the workbook and audio lesson combo is very affordable. So you can consider that as well. But if you're like, hey, I'm not ready to invest anything, no problem. Get the free version and watch my videos online because that'll walk you through it too.
Perfect. And to finish us off, do you have any final words of wisdom?
When I was a kid, I loved commercials because I think that was like the golden age of TV. Like, I don't even watch TV like that anymore. And that's because everything is so fractured, right? But one, I can recite all of like the classic commercials from the 80s, like, where's the beef? Right? And of course, we all know this one from Nike. Just do it. So I would say if there's any words of wisdom, I mean, just do it is it. When you get started with anything, it feels weird, wonky, wobbly. You're just getting your sea legs like a baby just starting to walk. You stumble, you fall, but you keep getting up and you keep at it, and eventually you start running, right? So if writing a book feels big, feels foreign, just do it. Just start with the 15 minutes a day. Allow yourself to fall, allow yourself to say, this sucks. But eventually, by the time you get to day 30, it's not going to suck anymore, right? And you can always reach out to me on any of my platforms to either check out my free content to help you along that journey. And if you want to actually have a conversation, just head over to my website. Right at the top, you can book a call with me, and anything that we need to chat about, I'll happy to point you in the right direction.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Renee. Denise Renee, it's been so great having you on the show.
Thank you so much for having me.
Thank you so much for listening to this episode. I hope it inspired you to live a more authentic life. I'd love your help in inspiring more people to live authentically. So please follow, rate, and leave a review so we can create a ripple effect of authenticity. Until next time, stay true to you, be bold, and thrive on your own terms. This is Elisa, signing off authentically.